Welcome everyone to the Dr. Ward Bond Show, where we always think natural. And today's program, I'm going to be discussing thyroid health. And did you know that an estimated 20 million Americans have some form of thyroid disease? Now, up to 60% of those with thyroid disease are unaware of their condition. Women are 5 to 8 times more likely than men to have thyroid problems, and 1 woman in 8 will develop a thyroid disorder during her lifetime. Now, 7 out of 10 women have an underactive thyroid condition, and 5 out of every 10 men have a mild hypothyroid condition as well. And now our children are even at risk. No one is immune. So let me ask you, are you dealing with cold hands and cold feet, fatigue, slow metabolism? Are you gaining weight? Do you have brain fog or mild depression, dry skin or brittle hair, maybe even constipation? On today's program, I'm going to teach you what nutrients you need to improve overall thyroid health and why your medication may not be working as effectively as you want it to. But don't worry, because help is on the way. One of the biggest complaints that I hear from so many people with hypothyroidism is that their medication simply just doesn't work for them. Or they go back to the doctor and says, "Doctor, I just still feel bad. You told me that when I take my thyroid medication that I was going to lose weight, my metabolism was going to improve, my energy levels were going to improve, my cold hands and cold feet were going to go away, and I was just really going to feel great. But doc, I'm not feeling good. What do I need to do?" And then what does this doctor actually do? He actually increases the dose of your medication. Now, many of you are taking synthetic thyroid medications. That means you're taking levothyroxines, you could be taking Synthroids, and things that are synthetic T4. Now let me put this in perspective to where it's going to be very easy for you to understand, because many of you watching right now, you're going to have a light bulb go off and go, "Oh, that's why." Well, guess what? The answer is coming to you in a moment. Now let me explain to you, first of all, about a healthy thyroid gland. Now your thyroid sits about right, it sits here within around your throat. It's shaped like a butterfly. Now, even behind your thyroid gland are actually 4 smaller glands called parathyroid. Now, those parathyroid glands, there's 2 on each side behind your thyroid. They're the size of a grain of rice. Now, their function is really to just improve the metabolism of calcium in your body, because they actually produce a hormone called calcitonin. But if you have an underactive thyroid condition, usually it does not affect the parathyroid glands in most cases. But we are talking about the thyroid today, and in a healthy thyroid gland, you're going to be producing T4 and T3, 2 thyroid hormones that most doctors pay attention to. Now, in a healthy thyroid gland, it should be producing up to about 94% of inactive T4. Now remember, that's a magic word, inactive T4. It also produces T3. A healthy thyroid should be producing about 7% active T3. Now the T3 is more potent than the inactive T4, but the inactive T4 must be converted to the active T3. Now think about this. You have an underactive thyroid condition, and your doctor puts you on medication. Now we're only going to focus on the medications in which it's only consisting of synthetic T4. We're not going to look at the natural versions that have T4 and some T3. But for those of you who are taking those natural versions of medications, what you hear me teach today will benefit you as well. So pay close attention. Okay, now we have, again, inactive T4 coming from the thyroid gland and a little bit of active T3. But we've got to get that inactive T4 to work better. But in this case, you're taking synthetic T4 from your doctor. You take it and nothing happens. You've been taking it for weeks, you could be taking it for months, you've been taking it for years, and still nothing happens. Well, there's a huge reason for that. Inactive T4 has to be converted within the liver. If you do not have a healthy liver, you're not going to get a healthy conversion to T3, so you start feeling better and more energetic. You've got to make sure that your liver is healthy, and it takes nutrients to do that. Now, I want to cover 3 simple nutrients today. Now, I could go through a whole slew of vitamins, minerals, and herbal compounds that really have a great impact upon the thyroid, but I want to kind of keep it basic today because in another program we will get deeper into this. But right now, some of you just need to have that basic information and understanding to get you on the good road to feeling better. 3 nutrients you need. 1, iodine. If you were on synthetic T4 medication for your thyroid, what is happening is it could actually be pushing the iodine out of your thyroid. So now you have a thyroid gland that is lazy, it's slow, it's sluggish, and what happens? It needs synthetic T4 medication to put the hormone back in, because if you've pushed all the iodine out, either through the fact of your diet, which I'm going to get into today, if your diet has lacked iodine, you're eating foods that push the iodine out of your thyroid, and you're taking thyroid medication that also pushes the iodine out of your thyroid, now you're caught in a very vicious circle that you can't get out of, because you're like, okay, I've pushed the iodine out of my thyroid, I'm taking thyroid medication to make me feel better, but here's the thing. It takes iodine, natural iodine, to produce this healthy dose of inactive T4 and a healthy dose of the T3. So if you push this out, you've put yourself in a position where your body is now dependent on medication. Now in this case with the thyroid, if you're feeding it T4, if it's going to be natural or synthetic, the thyroid can actually just sit there and get lazy and not do anything, because it's like, hey, I don't have to do my job because somebody else shows up every day, every morning. When this body wakes up, they swallow some pill with some water, and then somebody else took my job away from me. So that's basically what is happening in your body. But when this goes on and on and on, you're actually setting yourself up for some problems down the road, and I'm going to get into that in a moment. Next, you also need to make sure that you're getting adequate levels of the mineral zinc. You find zinc in a lot of nuts and seeds. Zinc is also great for the immune system, because how many of you watching right now have a thyroid condition that is actually caused by an autoimmune condition? Some of you are dealing with Hashimoto's disease. Maybe you're dealing with Graves' disease of the thyroid. These can be problems. We need to make sure that your immune system is functioning correctly. But zinc also helps to improve, along with iodine, the levels of T4. Some of you may have heard of an amino acid called tyrosine. Tyrosine can also be used to help improve T4 in the thyroid as well. Now, here's where I want you to get a pen and a piece of paper if you haven't already, and write this down. Trace mineral selenium. This is a little known secret when it comes to improving your overall thyroid health. Definitely you want to take the top 2. Iodine is the thyroid gland's favorite mineral, favorite food, so make sure you're eating those foods that contain that. You know, look at some of your seaweeds out there, the nori, the dulse, the kelp, the bladderwrack. All of these things have natural iodine in them. But here's the deal. Selenium. It's not necessarily working up here. It's going to be working in the liver. Did you know that there are 3 nutrients that your liver has to have every single day to be healthy? One is selenium. The other one is alpha lipoic acid, which is a very powerful antioxidant that actually donates an electron to your water-soluble nutrients and your fat-soluble nutrients, because it helps to keep those alive longer. But alpha lipoic acid also helps to work in the areas of regulation of blood sugar, which is fantastic for diabetics. And for those of you who are diabetic, you must take alpha lipoic acid every single day, because it could help you to prevent nerve damage in the feet, because a lot of people with diabetes, they end up with neuropathy. So by taking alpha lipoic acid, you can also help to prevent further damage. But it needs to be in the liver. The other thing is you want another nutrient called N-acetylcysteine. This is a potent amino acid that the liver must have, because what the body will do is when it receives N-acetylcysteine, it will take that amino acid and convert it into another more potent amino acid called glutathione. And glutathione is an anti-cancer nutrient. It's vitally important for the liver. If a lot of you are taking over-the-counter pain medications, you're taking acetaminophen, you're taking ibuprofens, if you take these in high doses every single day because you're dealing with chronic pain, you could increase the risk for liver failure. This is a known clinical fact, so keep that in mind. So if you're dealing with those types of over-the-counters, you could depleting your liver of nutrients that it needs to improve your overall thyroid health. So let's look at the picture now. You're on thyroid medication and it's synthetic. You're taking that synthetic T4 and it's not working. You go to the doctor, he increases the dose. You're still not feeling good, you go back to the doctor, he increases the dose again. But let's say you start taking the nutrients your body needs every single day. We are natural beings, ladies and gentlemen, and it needs natural nutrients for it to actually work. We're not actually deficient in synthetic T4. We're actually deficient in naturally producing the T4, and we have got to give our body what it needs so it'll do exactly what we want it to do and to feel like we do. Energetic and positive and healthy. That's what we want. So we have to put these things back in. So think about this. If you're taking your medication, now here's the thing about thyroid medication. Do not, you've got to use wisdom. Do not stop taking your thyroid medication because your thyroid works off of a negative feedback system. And that means if you just drop it cold turkey because you're just tired of it, you don't feel good, you could cause a problem later on and you could end up with weight gain that you can't get off. So let's don't do that. Let's use wisdom. There's wisdom and there's faith, okay? In this case, let's use the wisdom, and then by faith, we give ourselves what we need naturally, and God will do the supernatural. All right, so you're on synthetic T4. You get the nutrients back into your body, and over time, you will actually start to feel better because now your body producing the T4 or your medications bringing the T4 in, these nutrients will work with your synthetic T4 as well as those who are taking the natural forms of thyroid medication. It will work with that T4, get it converted into T3, which is far more potent, and all of a sudden, you're going to start feeling better. You're not going to have the cold hands and cold feet. You're going to notice that your metabolism is improving. Your body temperature is becoming normal. How many of you have ever tested your body temperature? If you go to bed, put a thermometer on your nightstand. In the morning, don't raise up, just reach over, grab the thermometer, put it under your arm. Actually, I was about to put it in my mouth. Put it under your arm and hold it. If it measures 97.1 to 97.5 3 days in a row, most likely you have an underactive thyroid condition because the body becomes colder. And when the body is under 98.6, other disease conditions can actually be set up, and we don't want that. There's a reason why God created us to have 98.6. We're warm, we're healthy, that's where we need to be. Anything above that's a fever, anything below that is definitely going to be a metabolism problem. Okay, so we've got all of these things working into your body right now. I've had so many people, so many clients that tell me once they even started the iodine, they just started feeling better. I had a client who actually started taking the iodine. She was feeling so good, and she was on thyroid medication. She was feeling so good. She said, Dr. Bond, this is the first time I felt great in 6 years. She went back to her doctor and said, Doc, this is what I'm doing, and I feel great. I need you to lower my medication. Well, the good thing is that she went back to her doctor to talk to him, and he was more than happy to work with her to lower her dose. And then within 6 months, she was off her thyroid medication because her body responded to what it actually needed. Now, some of you, it may take longer, but you know, Rome wasn't built in a day, so don't rush it. Once your body starts receiving the nutrients it needs, it will slowly start to come back into balance and come back into line, and you're going to notice it by how you feel. That's what we want, okay? So right now, your medication, so don't fret. Here's the answer. You want iodine, it'll get some zinc. Now when you take zinc, I kind of like the zinc picolinate kind of form because you can take it and it doesn't cause nausea. Some people will take a chelated zinc supplement, or which could pose a problem in just making you feel queasy for about 30 minutes. Or, you know, learn to eat some healthy nuts and seeds that contain zinc. Eggs contain zinc as well. So always look at your foods to do this with. You know, selenium is another one of those found in healthier grains and also nuts and seeds. Iodine's found in your seaweed type foods as well. So these things are vital. Do not forget these. Okay, these are your best friends. Now remember what I said before. If you are taking synthetic T4 medication, you're pushing any iodine out of your thyroid. That's a bad thing. Why is that? First of all, ladies, and I'm talking to all the women at this very moment, and guys, you can listen too. If you remove all the iodine out of your thyroid, it's also going to be displaced from the rest of your body. If you have no iodine in your body, you could actually be increasing your risk for breast cancer. There are studies that show that iodine alone can be a preventative against breast cancer because there's actually iodine receptor cells within breast tissue. They've shown that in Japan and in China, those people can actually take up to about 50 milligrams of iodine a day, and they have a lower risk for breast cancer. Here in America, it's usually less than 10 milligrams. Women are not getting enough. This is very important because iodine works with the hormonal system, works with your immune system. So if you want a healthy hormonal system, you've got to make sure you're taking iodine every single day.
Let's talk about faith for a moment. Faith does the impossible because it brings God to undertake for us, and nothing is impossible with God. Prayer projects faith on God and God on the world. Only God can move mountains, but faith and prayer move God. In Jesus' cursing of the fig tree, our Lord demonstrated His power. Our prayers need to be focused on the present, and we must trust God today and leave tomorrow entirely with Him. The present is ours, the future belongs to God. As every day demands its bread, so every day demands its prayer. No amount of praying done today will suffice for tomorrow's praying. Today's manna is what we need. Tomorrow, God will see that our needs are supplied. This is the faith which God seeks to inspire. So leave tomorrow with its cares, its needs, its troubles in God's hands. Through prayer and through faith, you will have more than you could ever ask or think.
Now, I want to cover something else that a lot of people are dealing with in the areas of thyroid, and they have no idea how to get rid of it. First of all, look at this little word called nodules. How many of you watching today have been diagnosed with thyroid nodules? You've got lumps, maybe in one or two lobes, maybe you have them in all four lobes of the thyroid. And the doctor said, okay, we've got to go in and we have to do surgery. We need to remove those, or maybe we have to do a biopsy. Are they benign? Are they malignant? And then you're like, gee, what in the world is going on with me? And see, the thing about the nodules is the nodules will completely throw off the function of the thyroid. So if you're taking medication, it may not actually help you. It could actually be preventing from you getting actual healthy help in this type of area. But there's a problem that a lot of researchers are looking into as to why are so many millions of people coming down with these thyroid nodules? Well, there seems to be a link in this area. So get a load of this. We have three chemicals: bromide, fluoride, and chloride. All three are responsible for the possibility of creating nodules. There's also a research study out that believes that herbicides and even pesticides could be a possible cause of thyroid nodules. But listen to this. Bromide is a chemical found in bread products and bakery goods. How many of you just love eating bread and bakery type products? Here's the thing. There's no iodine in bakery products. Back in the 70s, they used to, when you would go buy a loaf of bread, I should say the 60s and the 70s, it had iodine in it. Nobody had thyroid problems back then. Well, all of a sudden these researchers, for some weird reason, thought, well, wait a minute, well, what if the people are getting too much iodine? Well, let's take that out of the bread products. Let's put the bromide in there. It's cheaper anyway, and we just kind of put it in there because it does its little job with the bread making process. Well, then over time, since the 1970s, and here we are today, over 40 years later, and we have millions upon millions of people with thyroid problems. Here's the bad sign. Bromide pushes iodine out of your thyroid gland. That's a no-no. Then we have fluoride. You know, the stuff you put in your toothpaste, you brush your teeth with, hope you don't get cavities. Here's what they're finding out. Fluoride is not just in your mouthwash and your toothpaste and your drinking water, the problem with that is it too pushes the iodine out of your thyroid gland. Now, there are many foreign countries on this planet that ban fluoride from drinking water. They've done research to show that in those countries versus the United States, that the dental problems are the same. Just because they're not using fluoride doesn't mean all their teeth are falling out. Here in America, everybody's got fluoride in their drinking water and toothpaste and mouthwash, and we don't have better dental health just because we have fluoride. So obviously fluoride is not technically the answer to improve dental health. You know how to improve dental health? Brush your teeth every day and floss. And make sure you just have perfect dental hygiene. And there's ways to do it. You can go ask your dentist about that one. Next one, chloride. Chlorine. You know, chlorine is found in drinking water, tap water, swimming pools. The list goes on. Chlorine is being found in so many products that it's mind-boggling. These three chemicals we are being inundated every single day. And no wonder why we have millions of people with thyroid problems. Now, I'm not saying that these things are all causing nodules, because a lot of people have nodules, but there's a big strong link here. But the other problem is that if you push all the iodine out of the thyroid gland, nodules can be set up. And then the doctor worries, we better do a biopsy. Could be benign, could be malignant. Now, if a doctor is worried about a knot on your thyroid of being benign or malignant, we have a problem here. I'm going to keep going back to the magic word, iodine. Why? Because iodine itself has been shown in clinical research to be a cancer preventative. When we have iodine receptor sites in our body beyond the thyroid, I just said for women, found in breast tissue. There's a small study in the areas of iodine that could possibly not improve prostate function, but protect against prostate cancer, colon cancer, and other things in the body, especially hormonal cancers like in women, in the areas of cervical cancer. So iodine is very, very important. That's the reason why in the Asian communities, their iodine intake is so much higher than all of us in the United States, and I'm going to get to that in a moment. Next, I want to cover two hormones. Ladies, a lot of you know what these are, estrogen and progesterone. Now let's think about this for a moment. A lot of women go on hormonal replacement therapy, let's say around the age of 50, 55. Some of you I've seen, you may be doing it at 45 because you've had a hysterectomy. The problem with part of this is that with estrogen is known to slow down the thyroid. Now, ask yourself this question. How many of you right now have been diagnosed with an underactive thyroid condition? We call it hypothyroidism. That means it's underactive. And you're over the age of 50. But you did not have thyroid problems before you started hormonal therapy that actually includes the much higher doses of estrogen. You're taking the hormonal replacement therapy because you were told that it's supposed to help against cardiovascular disease, prevent osteoporosis, and all of a sudden, you have a thyroid problem because estrogen has been known to slow down the thyroid gland. Now let's think about this for a moment. They feed cattle commercially estrogen, hormones, to fatten them up. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to call anybody names, but listen to this. If estrogen causes one to gain weight, it also means that it's slowing down the thyroid gland. And a lot of you are sitting there right now going, oh, gee, now I can see the picture. You started estrogen replacement therapy, and all of a sudden you end up with a thyroid problem. And it could just happen over time because it's just really slow. Now, a lot of people, instead of doing the estrogen, actually work towards doing progesterone therapy because progesterone does the opposite. It helps to improve the function of the thyroid. Not necessarily speeding it up, but anything that's not slow is a lot better. So it actually works better. So a lot of women like doing the progesterone therapy. Now, the natural progesterone therapy seems to be the one to go with. I kind of get leery with the medical progesterone due to the fact that the side effects can be increased blood clotting, but you need to talk to your doctor about that. Also, the last but not least is soy. Now, I could do a whole program on soy, but I want to tell you this. It's a phytoestrogen. Avoid it like the plague. It actually blocks your mineral uptake to the thyroid. It will block these nutrients. So avoid soy milk, soy nuts, soybeans, soy protein. The only way you can eat soy that's naturally and healthy can be miso soup and tempeh and nattokinase. Other than that, avoid it like the plague. I have so many people tell me, well, why can't I eat soy? It's a food. I said, well, yeah, but God created poison ivy too, but you're not using it as a skin cream, are you? And Adam and Eve bit into an apple, so look where that got us. There's just certain things that we're not supposed to be putting in our mouth, and I'm going to put soy in that category. But research it. There's a lot of research out there. There was 2 FDA researchers that were absolutely against the use of soy because they saw what it did to the thyroid gland and also what it did to babies and children who were on soy-fed baby formula. Go look it up. We'll do a program on that one soon. So all of this today about thyroid health, and this is just a small part of thyroid health. So do some research, look it up. You can go to my website to read more about it. I have a lot of information on this. I have videos that you can watch on this exact same subject that goes a little deeper to what we have talked about today. So there you have it. There's a way to improve your thyroid health naturally, even if you're on thyroid medication from your doctor. And always use wisdom, keep the faith, talk to your doctor, and always think natural.
Dr. Bond invites you to connect with him online at drwardbond.com, where he shares more than 30 years of nutritional experience with you. Join his free Think Natural e-newsletter for up-to-date nutrition news, articles, and helpful tips that can help recharge your health, covering everything from your body, your mind, and your spirit. Whatever type of health situation you're going through, there's a natural answer that can help lead to a better, healthier you. And Dr. Bond has something new for all of his viewers. Sign up free for Dr. Ward Bond and food healing chef Susan Irby's Healing Remedies and Recipes online class. Learn how food can be your healer. Everything we eat will either benefit or hurt our bodies. Learn about different health conditions and which foods will benefit you the most. Connect with Dr. Ward Bond on Twitter, Facebook, and his YouTube channel. You can watch many of his past and current episodes of the Dr. Ward Bond Show, where he encourages you to always think natural. As Ezekiel 47:12 tells us, the fruit of the tree shall be our meat, and the leaves shall be our medicine.